Nearly half of Gen Z says if they could choose, they'd live in the past. And the era most of them have in mind is right before social media took over everything. The average Gen Z date now costs $205. Half of young Americans are going on fewer dates because of money, and 27% have stopped dating altogether. And 65% of Americans have already changed their summer travel plans because of rising costs. And jet fuel prices tied to the Iran conflict are about to make it worse. While everyone was busy arguing about politics, a bunch of other things happened. A lot of them matter. Some of them are strange. All of them are more interesting than whatever everyone is currently furious about. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is News Side Quest. A new NBC News Decision Desk poll powered by SurveyMonkey asked Americans aged 18 to 29 a simple question. If you had the option, would you choose to live in the past, the present, or the future? Nearly half, those 47%, said they'd choose to live in the past. One-third chose a time period less than 50 years ago. 14% chose more than 50 years ago. Only 38% said they'd prefer to live in the present. 10% chose less than 50 years in the future. 5% chose more than 50 years ahead. The broader sentiment is stark. 62% of Gen Z respondents said they expect life will be worse for them than it was for previous generations. 80% said the United States is on the wrong track, the highest share of any age group in the survey. When NBC News interviewed young adults about the finding, the answer that came up most often wasn't political or economic. It was technological. Most described wanting to live in an era right before social media and computers mediated every part of life. A 20-year-old student in Colorado specifically pointed to the 1990s as having a lack of phones and more personal experience while still retaining some of the ease of modern technology. A smartphone, he said, draws away from people's ability to just look at each other, have a conversation, and exist outside of the realm of the phone. The nostalgia researcher quoted in the piece, Clay Routledge, put it well. When there's a lot of disruptions, political divisiveness, worries about AI, technological and social changes, people tend to become more nostalgic for the past to help them cope with what they're worried about. If there's a fear that things are going in a direction that's unhealthy or that they can't control, you could imagine it being like, I'd rather take the time machine to the time before it got to that place. The desire to live in the past was not uniform. Only 33% of young black adults said they'd prefer the past, compared to 52% of white Gen Zers and 47% of Hispanic Gen Zers. That gap almost certainly reflects the fact that the past, particularly anything more than 50 years ago, was a significantly worse place for many Americans, and the comfort of nostalgia depends heavily on whose experience of that era you're imagining. Given everything going on, I can't say I'm surprised. I know where I'd go. Willoughby, July 1888. Peaceful, restful, a place where a man can slow down to a walk and live his life full measure. That's a Twilight Zone reference for those keeping score at home. Where and when would you go, your actual Willoughby? The era, the place, the version of the world you think you'd trade for this one.
Willoughby! The stop is Willoughby!
Several surveys published this week converge on the same conclusion. Dating in America in 2026 is expensive, exhausting, and increasingly something people are simply opting out of. Start with the money. According to BMO Financial Group's 2026 Real Financial Progress Index, Gen Z adults spend an average of $205 per date. For a full-time worker aged 16 to 34, that's roughly 3 to 5% of median annual income per date. Half of single Americans surveyed said they're going on fewer dates or choosing less expensive activities because of costs. 48% of Gen Z and 40% of millennials said the high price of dating gets in the way of reaching their financial goals. A separate Morning Consult survey found that 56% of Americans say rising costs have reduced how often they go on dates, and 27% say they've stopped dating altogether to save money. Among Americans earning under $50,000, that number rises to 33%. Then there's the app problem. Dating costs are only part of the story. For millions of users, finding a date requires paying for apps, and the freemium model means you often have to pay to be visible to the people you actually want to meet. One 21-year-old Columbia student described the economics bluntly. There's such a higher chance that something doesn't click, and then there goes your $40 dinner bill down the drain on someone you might never talk to again. But the most interesting data comes from the 2026 State of Our Unions report, based on a survey of more than 5,000 unmarried adults aged 22 to 35. Only about 30% of young adults reported that they're actively dating. Yet 83% of women and 74% of men said they want a relationship focused on serious commitment and emotional connection. Most young adults still expect to marry someday, but dating confidence is low. Only about 1 in 3 expressed much faith in their own dating skills. More than half said their past breakups have made them more reluctant to start new relationships. And the biggest barrier cited was simply not having enough money, endorsed by 52% of respondents. Here's what I find genuinely interesting about all of this. The desire for connection hasn't gone away. People still want what dating is supposed to lead to. What's gone away is the willingness to spend $200 on the process of getting there, on the chance that it might work out. That's not cynicism, that's arithmetic. What's your best free or nearly free date idea? The thing that actually creates a real experience without requiring a $200 night out. Because there are a lot of people listening who could genuinely use them.
What cologne are you going to go with? London Gentleman or... Wait. No, hold on. Blackbeard's Delight.
No. She gets a special cologne. It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries. Yep. It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
It's quite pungent.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, it's a formidable scent. It stings the nostrils. In a good way.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
A U.S. news survey conducted this month found that 65% of Americans have already altered their summer travel plans because of rising prices. The cost of travel has increased 26.3% since January 2019. Airline ticket prices are surging, driven in significant part by rising fuel costs tied to the ongoing conflict in Iran, with oil topping $100 a barrel. Airlines are passing those costs directly to travelers. United Airlines has announced fare increases of as much as 20% this summer. Air Canada has suspended some routes entirely due to costs. Even road trips aren't the fallback they used to be, with gas prices climbing past $4 a gallon nationally. NerdWallet's 2026 Summer Travel Survey found that 45% of Americans still plan a summer vacation requiring a flight or paid lodging, with average expected spending of $3,940. But more than 2 in 5, 42%, say they'd rather skip vacation entirely than book budget airfare and lodging. Among the 65% of Americans who changed their plans, about 31% changed destinations or canceled trips outright. Common canceled destinations included Las Vegas, New York City, Hawaii, and national parks. 42% said rising gas prices specifically affected their summer plans. This is just one more item on the pile. Alongside owning a house, having kids, and affording Cubs season tickets, the pile is real and it keeps growing. What used to be the assumed annual reward for a year of working, the summer trip, the week away, the thing you looked forward to, has become another financial calculation in a year full of them. What's the trip you've been planning and haven't been able to take, and what specifically is in the way? Or alternatively, what's your best move when the trip you want isn't the trip you can afford? The creative workarounds, the nearby alternative that surprised you, the staycation that actually worked.
Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
A teacher let her kindergartners choose their own names for a day, and their choices were exactly what you'd hope. The names included things like Corn Dog, Princess Butterfly, and Dinosaur. I hope they chose carefully because most of these kids are going to carry these as nicknames for the rest of their natural lives. Their classmates will not forget. Corn Dog especially is going to college with that one.
Like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
The dog? You are named after the dog?
A millionaire big game hunter was trampled to death by 5 elephants while hunting antelope in Zimbabwe. The elephants were not the intended quarry. Instant karma is going to get you. Millions of Americans may now also qualify as Canadian citizens under a new Canadian law that extends citizenship eligibility to people with Canadian ancestry going back further than previously recognized. If you love Tim Hortons coffee and being polite, you might want to look into this. The timing, given the current state of things, is not lost on anyone.
I moved here from Canada, and they think I'm slow, eh?
A Michigan man won $500,000 from a lottery ticket his sister gave him as a birthday gift. He now has a sister who's going to receive extraordinary birthday gifts for the rest of her life. She probably didn't expect a 200,000% return on a scratch ticket, but here we are.
Girlfriend's gonna get paid.
That's News Side Quest. 3 questions out there today. Your Willoughby, your best free date idea, and either the trip you haven't been able to take or your best workaround when travel gets too expensive. Email me at newssidequest@gmail.com or hit me up in the Substack comments. See you tomorrow.